What is up, you guys? My name is Madison. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be doing books that I want to read throughout the year, kind of like a yearly TBR. You still obviously might see these in like other TBRs throughout like monthly TBRs. And I also don't have any books that include like the July books. So I have my like rereads, I do have rereads, so I have like my standalones for that together. I have all my like series together because like I have like series that I want to read or at least start this year. And then I have all my unread standalones that I want to read this year together as well. So I'm going to start with my reread section, and then I'm going to go into the series, and then I'm going to go into the unread section. So let's just get started. The first book I have is The Wicked City by Beatrice Williams. I tried reading this earlier this year, and it just wasn't the right time. I couldn't get into it, but I know that I love this book. It follows two characters, two girls, one named Jin and one named Ellie. And they're pretty much trying to like figure out each other's life. One's trying to solve a mystery and the other one's trying to get through a divorce. The next one I have is a very beat up version of Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I think we all know this about, it's about a kid named Simon who's like blackmailed into coming out or whatever. But I know that like this is like a part of like the Simonverse series, but I've always considered this a standalone, so it's gonna stay a standalone to me at least. And the last like reread standalone I have is Up to This Point by Jennifer Longo. Normally I'd read it this month. However, I just have so many other books I need to get to, plus I have the book for school and now's not the time, so I actually might end up reading this either next month or the month after. But I really do want to go ahead and reread this because I love this book so much. It makes me so happy just to sit down and read this book and learn so many things. And I think reading it this year especially, you know, when like a lot of my hopes and dreams pretty much got canceled because of the virus, this would be a nice book to read. So going into all the series that I want to reread for one reason or the other, I have the first book which is The Program by Suzanne Young. This pretty much follows kind of like a futuristic like science experiment almost, where a company pretty much brings back dead people through other people. So like they have one person like kind of look like the dead person and stick them in their life so people can grieve and like say their goodbyes properly. The next book I have is The Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith. I have read like the first, I don't know if this is two books put together or if it's just one, but I have read the first two books like in this like form. This is The Fury and the Dark Reunion. Pretty much it's The Vampire Diaries. We all know what The Vampire Diaries is, but Elena, Damon, and Stefan are our main characters. Damon and Stefan are vampires. Elena doesn't know, and then she knows. Caroline is my favorite character in this too, so. Also, I'm only using the first book, so like, if you see some of these in like wrap-ups beforehand, just know that I'm just using the first book. But I also want to pretty much finish or read the last book, I guess, to the Two Other Boys I've Loved Before, which is also on my TBR for this month. I don't know, but I honestly don't know if I'll read it. But yeah, I want to finish this. I've talked about this a gazillion times. Laura Jean's letter gets sent out. It follows the stories of pretty much all of her love interests that got, yeah. Series that I want to finish is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. Apparently, Mr. Dashner has some drama with him. There is glitter all over my face. But I still have the books. I still want to read them. I still enjoy the movies. I can say this was written by Dylan O'Brien, like I could do with Harry Potter, you know? But for now, until I like actually know what's going on, I'll just, yeah. But this is about a whole bunch of boys and a girl who escape a maze to go into the real world, and they're like, dang, the real world sucks. The next series is The I Love the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz. This follows 4 villain kids and a prince, and then the 4 villain kids go to where the prince lives and live in his like little city town thingy with all the other princes and princesses and kings and queens and everything. and they have to try and like be good. I don't want to like blind you, so that's why I'm holding it back. So if this looks weird, I'm sorry. Next series trilogy that I want to read is Girl Online by Zoe Suggs Ghostwriter. I loved these books, and I want to at least read the first book this year, and if I can't get into it, I'm just gonna donate them to my library. So I know that I can always like have them if I want them, and I do know that a lot of other young girls would really enjoy this, but this just like isn't my thing. It's about a girl who starts a blog, and like the only person who knows about it is her best friend, and then she starts dating this like super popular like musician or whatever. That's literally all I know about it, all I remember. There's a lot of drama going on. Okay. The next series that I want to start is really any Cassandra Clare series. This is The Mortal Instruments. This is City of Bones. Why that there are so many books. Anyway, pretty sure this is Jace on the cover. I never watched the TV show, but like I know that it's about a guy and a girl, Clary. She finds out that she is like part of this dark world or something, and the only reason I was ever interested was because of Magnus and Bane. I don't know why it sounds like I said Magnus and Bane. I said Magnus Bane, and I really did only want to read the series because of him, because he sounds like the best part. I also said they. I mean, I don't know what he is. I know that he's a warlock, but I also know that it goes by he. So, like, yeah, the only reason I was interested was because of Magnus Bane. They seemed like the only interesting part of the show, and I think the guy who plays Jace is incredibly attractive. And the last series I have is Harry Potter by Daniel Radcliffe. And as you guys know, I have the 6th book on my TBR shelf, and I have the 7th and these whatever the heck you're supposed to call the cursed child or whatever it's called on my shelf that I also want to read. But again, if you don't know what this is about, which is gonna be shocking. I don't know why I said it like that. Boy wizard who finds out that he's a wizard after 11 years of abuse, and then he becomes friends with a giant, a ginger, and a really smart pretty girl. And this goes into like all the books like I haven't read, and I'm gonna count this as a standalone because I don't have the rest of the series, and I just want to see if I'm into it. But this is so shiny. I'm gonna hold this back. Okay, so this book is Werewolf Rise of the Wolf. So this is book 1, and it's by Curtis Jobling. I've never heard of the series. I just found it on my shelf one day and I was interested because that was like the point where I was like super into werewolves and vampires and like really any like mythical supernatural creature, which is why I didn't get rid of it during like my really big unhaul, whatever, getting rid of books. What's a penguin? Sorry, I got interested. But I remember getting this in like 6th grade in like the child section of Barnes and Noble, and I only wanted it because wolf, and it was green. I just really liked this cover. Oh, there's a bear. Sorry, I'm like noticing things. But same thing with this book is like if I don't get into this book and I don't feel like reading the rest of the series, I'm just gonna donate it to my library. The next book I have is Last of Her Name by Jessica Curry. I actually did start to read this book. I got a couple pages in, maybe like 30, before I put it down because school ended pretty much. But this is a book that I brought to school to just like read and have or whatever. And it was interesting. Like, all I remember really is that like a girl was like with her best friend and she like snuck onto the ship and she had a horse or something, or a dog maybe. I don't know. But that's all I remember. I just think this cover is so gorgeous, and I got it either this school year, like my sophomore year or my freshman year at the book fair, and I only got it because it just looked like the perfect like fantasy science fiction book. Next book I have is Always Watching Elite Guardians by Lynette Eason. I got this a couple years ago. I got pretty far into it. I was maybe about 1/3 of the way in. And this is about a security guard who has to take care of this really rich, fancy news reporter or like radio station host and his daughter. And his daughter has a stalker that like sends things to the house. And like it starts getting creepy. And it's like, I got this in the religion section. I don't know where anything God related comes in. This just seems like a really cool romance to me because I don't like romance, but I like when romance is mixed in with something, like in Warcross, which I've talked about a gazillion times. Like that's like mixed in with, you know, a video game and like a hacker and everything like that. So I think like the security guard aspect would be really, really cool. That, I remember really liking the little girl. The next book I have is The Outsider by Stephen King. I don't know why I looked at that. I knew that already. This is the second Stephen King book I've ever owned. I've never read a Stephen King. I was told really not to start with this one. Sorry, I saw a picture of Stephen King's face for the first time and it was kind of scary. Anyway, I've never like watched like any of the movies or like TV shows based off of a Stephen King book, except for It and like It Chapter 2. And I've been told that it doesn't really follow like the book. I don't know. But I'm just like super interested in like seeing what everybody like likes about it. There's another book that I wanted to read and it was like one of his shorter ones, like one of his first ones. But the only Stephen King book that I actually want to read right now is Carrie. So I don't know how, like when I'll get to this, but I know that I do want to get to it at some point this year. The next book I have is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. My mother was like, you need to read this book. I think you'll like it so much. And then Jesse the reader was like, I don't like this book. And I was like, huh? So this doesn't sound like a book I'll like. I normally don't really like contemporary type books. I definitely like some kind of action in it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about reading it. I know that I want to read it so I can give it back to my mother. The next book I want to get to is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I want to read this book so badly, so if I don't read it at some point this year, I'm going to cry, but I will not get rid of this book until I actually read it. I just realized I didn't talk about that book. Prince and President's son hate each other and then they pretend they like each other and so they fall in love. And the last book, still have no idea what this is about, but this is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City series. The main character's name is Bryce. That's all I know. Did it say book 1 on it? No, it does not. Sorry, I thought I saw something and I didn't. From what I've heard about the Throne of Glass series, I don't think I'll like it, but I want to experiment with Sarah J. Maas since everybody loves her so much, and so I feel like if I liked this book even in the slightest, then I'll probably pick up the other books by her. But I don't know. Also, I was kind of like just convinced right away that I wanted this book when I saw how gorgeous this cover is, and then like when I saw how gorgeous this was. So I will 110% read this entire book just because of the cover and how pretty it is. Okay, so that is all for today's video. I have no idea how many books are in this, but this is a lot shorter than I thought it would be, and I know that I'm going to cut this down by at least like 3 minutes. So yeah, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. All my social media will also be down below. Please keep signing petitions and protesting because something is happening and we're going to make something happen. All lives won't matter until Black Lives Matter. That's what it is, okay? But yeah, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time, whenever that may be. Bye.